It is your observant lineman, Uche Nwaneri. And we are here, chilling on a nice Thursday evening. Hope everybody's doing well. Make sure you smash that like button. If you haven't already done so, make sure you are subscribed to the observant lineman, Uche Nwaneri, if you have not already done that. There's a subscribe button down below. There's a join button down below if you want to spend some money. And there is a like button that will help prop this video up on the YouTube algorithm. But we got to talk about the Jaguars. Big news today coming out of Duval. Big news coming out of Duval. Jaguars hire Urban Meyer. Jaguars hired Urban Meyer. Obviously, that's the big news today in the NFL. Big news day for the Jags. You know, obviously, small town, small market team. This will be the most singular amount of buzz that the Jags will get until we return to football activities after the season ends, of course, going into the next year. Jaguars have the first overall pick in the NFL draft. It's supposed to be Trevor Lawrence, but there are some whispers that Justin Fields might get the nod because of a certain hiring that was made. But, you know, having all of the base details for you guys, I want to give you guys my thoughts. And, you know, I've been thinking about this, and ever since the first actual like rumor of Urban Meyer came to light in the media in regards to him being the head coach in Jacksonville, ever since that first rumor about it, I kind of scoffed at the idea. And there are a lot of reasons for me feeling the way I do about this hire. A lot of reasons. And I'm not saying that, you know, Urban Meyer is going to be a failure. I mean, we don't know that yet. Not in the NFL. But I just really have a lot of issues with the Jaguars. I mean, this is something that I'm not surprised that the Jaguars would do. That's the problem with it. I'm not surprised. Because in a situation where you have a chance to actually go and clip some of the top talent in way of coordinators, in way of general managers that you can bring into this organization, in really having probably being one of the most, one of the most sought after jobs in the NFL because of all of the incentives to come to Jacksonville to be a head coach in the NFL. There was sure to be plenty of top level talent in the NFL that would be willing to make a move to Jacksonville with all of the things that the Jags have in play. You got a lot of cap space. You got a lot of draft picks. You know, you can, and depending on who it is, you can have a head coach and a GM, or you can have a head coach that operates in both roles. Now, you don't want a Bill O'Brien situation. You don't want somebody to actually like destroy the actual franchise itself with one trade. But you really do have the opportunity to get to set the foundation for what could be a long run of competitive football in Jacksonville. And what do? You go and hire a college football coach. What? Look. To me, this was a decision. This felt like it was a decision that was made by people who don't understand football. That's what it feels like to me. I'll be honest, because I look at this situation and I say, okay, let's look at Urban Meyer. Let's look at what Urban Meyer has done in college. And he has a resume. He has accolades upon accolades, 3 national titles, other, a bunch of other conference titles, what have you. But that's in college. That's in college. This was an amateur decision, in my opinion, to hire him as your head coach. Now, I don't know how many of you out there have played college football. And this is really, this is me starting into my thought processes, just as a player. And this is without really speaking on anything having to do with the Jaguars football season coming up in 2021. This is really just me talking about, as a player, understanding how the game evolves, understanding how teams are built in these different levels of football is crucial. You have to understand that. You have to understand that there is a big difference in how you build a team in college and how you build a team in the NFL. College football. I went to Purdue University. We had a coach by the name of Joe Tiller when I got there. Joe Tiller is, to this day, the best coach that Purdue has ever had. The Brian Brom is terrible. And I have something to say about it. And actually, I'll get to a point about Brian Brom and my experience when I was in Purdue, when I was at Purdue during training camp, working with players during practice in West Lafayette. But in Purdue, at Purdue with Joe Tiller, I learned a lot from Joe Tiller. Rest in peace to Joe Tiller. But I learned a lot from Joe Tiller in the regards of how a football team and how the culture of a football team is built in college. And a lot of college football and how these teams are built in the locker room, how the mission of the team is set, and how the coaching staff and the players buy into that culture. These are all things that are done through sheer it operates much in the same way as a dictatorship. The head coach is the one and the one final say on everything. He is the final word on everything in that program. Nobody supersedes him. Nobody undermines him. That's how college football, the hierarchy of college football, is set. You have a head coach who, by all intents and purposes, the players on that team and the attitude and energy of that team will more often than not represent the head coach. It will be almost you'll see the head coach's entire personality within the team and how the team plays. These are things that, that's how it's been in the amateur levels in football forever. There's one that's an iron fist rule by the head coach, and everyone is subservient to his ideals and his perspective and way of building the team. And that's fine. That's college football. And there are different factors that play into that. But that's how college football gets by. I mean, these are amateur athletes. You're not dealing with, obviously, income, at least not yet. They will be soon. But it's really just very, very old school with college football. And through the process of going from a freshman to a senior in college, you begin to understand that, the identity that the coach sets for the football program is validated by the athletic director. It's validated by the boosters. All of these people, their attention on that team is primarily focused on the head coach first. Nobody else. Nick Saban isn't, nobody's interviewing any players on Alabama unless Nick Saban says it's okay, unless Nick Saban gives the okay for that. People don't donate money to Alabama's football team, the boosters, because just because of the players themselves. They do it because of the head coach. The head coach is seen as the master on the plantation, for lack of a better phrase of putting it. That is how it is in college football. That is well known for anybody who's ever played in college football. The NFL, totally different beast. Totally different beast. And I say that because the culture of building a culture in the NFL is much, 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 much harder than it is to build in college. Building a culture that can win in the NFL is a very complicated thing to do. In college, Oh, Brian Kennel, RK Outpost. What's up, man? I see him up in there. He says Jeff Brom. He's correcting me on the name there. Good job. You're right, Jeff Brom. But okay, so in the NFL, when you're building a winning culture, building a winning culture for the franchise really consists of a bunch of different layers in communication and in psychology, really, because you are dealing with grown men. These are not kids. These are not people you're going to talk to any way you want to. It's not going to happen. These are grown men. These are assets to a certain extent to the ownership. These are assets that have value. They have monetary value, and these are people who are coming from all different walks, like in any team sport. But you really have to set an entire ideal system for your team based on goals that aren't necessarily set by the head coach. These are things that I remember when Gus Bradley, perfect example, even though he was never, even though he had NFL experience, he was a defense coordinator. He was not a head coach. So this is his first year as a head coach. They brought psychologists in to talk to the team. They brought, motivational speakers in to talk to the team, because when you set the initiative on what we want our culture to be, how do we put on paper what our culture is going to be as a football team in this year, because each year is different, but the culture of the team is set the day that you come in, and the day that you come in for your first, team meeting, and that's usually right before OTAs start. You'll be doing training for 8 weeks before you start doing OTAs. When you get into OTAs, that's when you start getting together as a team. That's when you start having team meetings, offensive meetings, position meetings. That's when you start getting into the off the field classroom routine in football. That's where that starts at. So when you walk in the room in your first team meeting, that first team meeting is a good hour and a half long, close to 2 hours long, because there are a lot of bullet points that a coach is going to have to hit in regards to what it is this new coach, who is new to this building, new to this city, what he wants to help the team accomplish, what he wants to help the franchise accomplish. These are all things that you are laying out to players who are going to be interchangeable throughout the court from the beginning of that time when OTA starts until the end of the football season in January or February, depending on whether you're in the playoffs or not. This roster is going to change. And it's going to change. It's going to change a lot. The core may be in place at some point, but everything around the core players is going to change around. So building the culture really starts, with strangers, and then for a lot of time up until that culture grabs hold, it may be something that's really just, you're trying to convince strangers to buy into. And, the great thing about football is that there's no way it can be done by one person alone. So in building that team and being able to have a team that you can field and have an opportunity to win with, there has to be a willingness to buy into that culture. Now, Now, moving on from that particular aspect of team culture, you go into the NFL and you realize immediately that as a team with Jacksonville, that really is a team that was, it's a nuked team. It's completely nuked. There are no players on there that will be there in 3 years. There is not one player in Jacksonville right now on that roster. There might be one. I won't say there's not one. There might be one. There might be two. Might be five. But it will be a very different locker room in 3 years in Jacksonville. Complete turnaround from players that you've known, players that you've watched. They will be gone within 24 months. 24 to 36 months. That is the point where new culture really begins to kind of manifest itself. Once everything is cleared out, once all the remnants of the past are cleared out. Now, the issue with this hire for me, when it comes to culture, when it comes to winning culture in Jacksonville, is that when you take a gamble on a coach who doesn't have NFL experience, generally that's a desperate move. That seemed more as a desperate move than a move to actually take a step forward. Because you're looking at you're looking at a coach who, while he does have a significantly pristine resume to bring to the table, he has his own caveats that really do put some of his, to me, I feel like some of his intestinal fortitude can be questioned because of how he's handled situations with other universities that he's been at. Now, let's take a look here. And I got a couple over here. Let's take a look here at what Urban Meyer had to say after he signed with the Jaguars. He says, "I'm ready to coach the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville has an enthusiastic fan base, and the fans deserve a winning team. With upcoming opportunities in the NFL draft and strong support from ownership, the Jaguars are well positioned to become competitive. I've analyzed this decision from every angle. The time is right in Jacksonville, and the time is right for me to return to coaching." $12 million a year made the time right to return to coaching. "I'm excited about the future of this organization and our long-term prospect for success." That's Urban Meyer. That's what Urban Meyer said, coming out as the new head coach for the Jaguars. Now, Urban Meyer in his career obviously has some stellar stats here. We see this: 3 times national championship, 7 times conference championship, Mountain West, SEC, Big Ten, 187-32. Ohio State, 83-9. Hey, I don't know if that means that much. Florida, 65-15. Utah, 22-2. I don't know if I care about that one either. Bowling Green, don't know if I care about that one either. Although, to be fair, Bowling Green, which I think he was coaching at the time, came to Purdue. First game of the season, we were ranked, I think, 13th or 12th in the nation, and they beat us. But they beat us because we sucked that game. We did terrible. We messed up so much that game, it was ridiculous. But anyways, I digress. That's neither here nor there. Just when you look at the college accolades, for me as a player, to use that and to prop that up as this is why he's our guy, that's a meh. I feel meh about that. So meh. Because there are coaches in the NFL right now who are far more qualified for the head coaching job than Urban Meyer is for the Jaguars. Eric Bieniemy, that's one name that I have been, that I was hoping would show up on an interview list for the Jaguars. But, of course, national championships mean more than Lombardi trophies based on what we're seeing right now with this hiring. I mean, Eric Bieniemy, for everything that people say about, oh, he doesn't call the plays for the Steelers, he is the offensive coordinator. The flow, the flow chart for the plays, the scheme itself is of his making. It's of his making. He is being groomed by Andy Reid himself to actually, I mean, if it got to that point, he'll be the next head coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. He'll be the next head coach for that team if Eric Reid decides he wants to retire. I mean, that to me is an inevitability rather than a possibility. And the Jaguars have an opportunity here, like I said, is a unique opportunity. Jacksonville truly had a unique opportunity on their hands where they would have a strategic advantage over all of the top coaching talent that is even thinking about a new destination. And, you know, this is a guy who is coaching probably the most talented quarterback in this era of football in Patrick Mahomes. The most prolific offense that we've seen since the Rams in 2001. I mean, this is, to me, a no-brainer that you don't give this guy a look at least before you make a decision. They made a decision. They shot their load as soon as they walked in the club. I mean, come on. The Jaguars, I feel like they fumbled this. I feel like they fumbled this completely. They didn't even take a look at well, I don't know what they're doing behind the scenes, but they didn't take a look officially at anybody except for Urban Meyer. He's a college coach, and they shot their load. I mean, it took 2 pumps. They took 2 pumps and they shot their load. Talking about they've been looking at this for months. They've been talking with him for months. Yeah, fucking right. You know what? His name came up in a meeting, and maybe they gave him a call, but let's be real. He said he wanted $12 million a year or he ain't coming out of retirement, and you gave him $12 million a year. He's going to have to put a staff together. What kind of staff is he going to put together? If you know the NFL, it's a fraternity, right? So coaches ain't coming to coach for somebody that they don't really know like that. Coaches usually move around based on references. They usually move around because, hey, Coach Heck, I'm trying to get a job coaching here. Do you know anybody that works for that team? Yeah, I know somebody that works there. I'll give them a call, just say hi, tell them, see if I can put in a good word just so you can get a chance to go in and get an interview if they're hiring for a position. Yeah, so that's kind of how the league works when you talk. That's why you see coaches who did terrible at one team and then did terrible at another team and then did terrible at another team. Then all of a sudden they end up on a good team, and you're like, how the hell did he get hired there? It's because he knows somebody. It's because he coached with somebody, or he coached somebody that is working in that, that's a coordinator or maybe even a head coach, and you can get a job like that. Jack Del Rio, who drafted me, Jack Del Rio was the strength and conditioning coach at the New Orleans Saints, and then boom, next thing you know, he's a defense coordinator. Boom, next thing you know, he's a head coach. So it moves quick. But when it's about who you know, as always. So with this situation, Urban Meyer is going to have to bring in a staff. He's going to have to find a staff that and I would assume that he's going to look to places where he's already, got connections, coaches that he's already got connections to. Some of them may be in the NFL now. Some of them may still be in college, at the collegiate level. And, that's where a huge problem. That's where a huge problem lays. Let me tell you guys a little story. So the year is, this was 2013. This was the first year of the Gus Bradley era in Jacksonville. Now, this was the first year this was the same year that Shad Khan bought the team. So there was actually a very significant amount of buzz around the hiring of Gus Bradley, because you're coming from a team as a defensive coordinator. He's made famous by his sideline outburst in Seattle. Do your fucking job. He was the coordinator for one of the best defenses of one of the best defenses in recent memory in Legion of Boom. It wasn't a long-lived time of dominance, but in the last decade, that's one of the best defenses that's played it. So, he had a lot of clout and a lot of upside if you're looking at it. And that was a good hire when you look at it on its face value. It's a hire that the timing seemed right then, because he was the coordinator of one of the best defenses in the league. And he came into Jacksonville as a head coach, and and all respect to Gus Bradley. I respect the hell out of the guy. I liked him. I really liked him. He has the right energy as a coach. He has the right energy. But this was a guy who didn't have a big net of connections in getting coaches to staff the Jaguars, and he had to go to the people that he knew. He had to go to the level of coaches that he knew the most, and that was in college, the college coaches. So, I'm wanting to say this, or to speak to you guys in a deliberate manner, just because, obviously I'm thinking through some of the feelings of that time when he was there, and just going back through in my head, a lot of different scenarios that played out different, in different ways through the course of that season. But oh man, offensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2013, Jeff Fitch. Was that his name? He just got hired as the head coach of some college football team. I saw it a couple of weeks ago. Jeff Fish. Yeah, that's who it is. Jeff Fish. Offensive coordinator. First year as an offensive coordinator in the NFL. He had been like a basically what amounts to like a graduate assistant. They call it like quality controller, some shit like that, where you're the guy who prints up the scout team plays. You print up the alignments. You print shit. You don't coach nobody. You print shit and you yell at practice squad guys and tell them where to go when you're out on practice. Jeff Fitch, he got hired by Arizona. Woo! Hey, look, Jeff Fitch, I will never talk badly personally about anybody, regardless of how I feel about them in regards to, them as a person. But Jeff Fitch, as an offensive coordinator in Jacksonville, I'd never seen anything so completely not NFL material. And I say that with love to him because he's a good dude. But, hey, motherfucker, y'all released my ass after that season, so why not? But so Jeff Fitch, and this is something that this is a story that nobody knows this story. Nobody knows this story except for a few players on the team. And one of those players is actually playing, or still playing. He's a backup, but he's backing up the GOAT, Blaine Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert knows this story well. If somebody knows Blaine, you know what? Fuck, why don't I send him a fucking text? I hope he still got the same phone number. Let me see. I'm going to send Blaine Gabbert a text right now. Oops. Whoops, spelled that wrong. Anyways, let me send him this text real quick. Let me see if I can get him on speakerphone. Oh, there he is. All right. Time is it 10? Oh, he might be asleep. You motherfuckers, are they getting ready to play? Anyways, I just shot him a text. So first game of the season. We are at home. Who the hell were we playing against that? I think Kansas City. Yeah, we were playing against Kansas City. Ironic. We're playing against Kansas City. First game of the season. This is, we just got the new uniforms. You see them behind me, right? We got the new uniforms, got the new helmets over there. Got the new helmets. This was, this was supposed to be the fresh start for the Jaguars. This was the refresh of the Jaguars. We got the two-tone helmets, Blaine ready to go, going out, getting ready to go on the field. I'll never forget this because I didn't know about this until after the game. After the game, we ended up losing to Kansas City. After the game, we all, we ended up out somewhere at a bar by the beach, just kind of unwinding, right? So I'm talking with Blaine about, hey, because we all at this point, and this is just at the first game, but at this point we all had kind of we were kind of sketchy about we felt like it was really sketchy that these coaches just kind of felt like they didn't know what the hell they were doing. That's kind of how we felt, but nobody had said it at that point. So the conversation between me and him is, yeah, so why the fuck did we call this play on this at this time during the game? And he's like, and Blaine is just he's like, dude, right? Like, what the fuck? Like, he says, dude, you know what? We're fucking getting ready to go out for the first play of the game. I'm on the sideline. You guys are on the field in the huddle. I'm on the sideline, and I'm staring at Jeff Fitch in his face, and I'm saying, hey, what's the play? What's the play? And he said, I swear to God, Uche, his fucking hand was trembling with the play sheet in it. His hands were fucking trembling. It was like he couldn't get the words out. He was just shaking. And Blaine said, I put my hand on his shoulder. I said, hey, so we're good. What's the fucking play? And he gave him the play. So he spit it out, and he comes out on the field and we start. This is a guy who was the offensive coordinator for the University of Miami, the Hurricanes, the year before in 2012. I would have never even known that or cared to know it if this motherfucker didn't bust out University of Miami film during a team meeting. He busted out University of Miami Hurricanes football film to teach NFL players about football. Eugene Monroe was sitting in front of me in that team meeting. He turned around and just looked right back at me like, are you serious? Are you serious? Yeah, and I see in the chat a few of you people, a few of y'all have maybe heard this before, because I do tend to tell my football stories when I'm in a nice social setting such as this. But you got to understand something. On the NFL level, and everybody who came up from players to being drafted into the NFL, we all kind of went through that phase. And, you know, I was a college player. I didn't know what the fuck to do when I got to the NFL. I had to sit my ass back and learn. And it doesn't matter what you tell me about what Urban Meyer has done before. That process is the same for coaches coming from college to the NFL, because I've seen it with my own eyes. Jeff Fitch was one coach, but our coaching staff consisted at that in that season of, other than Gus Bradley. You know what? Let me pull this up real quick, guys. Hold on. 2013 Jags coaching staff. Oh my fucking God. This shit was ridiculous. God. Okay. All right. Offensive coaches. Offense coordinator. Well, you know what? Let me let you guys take a look at this. I see you guys on the super chats. I'll get to those super chats real quick here in a second, guys. Okay, so offense coordinator, Jed Fish. That was his first year. Quarterbacks coach, Frank. First year, Frank. I didn't even know. Wow. Oh, yeah. He was our tight ends coach, and they moved him to oh, my God. No. I'm thinking about a different one. But no. Quarterbacks coach, first year. Running backs coach, Terry Richardson, first year. Wide receiver, Jerry Sullivan, he was a fucking guru. This was the most tenured coach on our roster, or on our coaching staff in Jacksonville. Jerry Sullivan, I love this dude. Old head, but he didn't give a fuck about nobody. He wasn't taking no shit, and you're gonna run the route the way he say to run it. And he groomed wide receivers in Jacksonville. Like, these guys did excellent under him. I mean, Cecil Shorts actually elevated his game like tenfold due to Jerry Sullivan as a coach. This dude had 30 some odd years, 25 years in the NFL. 25 years in the NFL. 24 of them as a wide receivers coach. These are the people you need in your locker, in your coaching staff to help you advance your franchise. Tight ends coach, Ron Middleton. That was his first year. Rest in peace, George Yarno. George Yarno was our offensive line coach. He passed away, I think like 2014, 2015, from cancer. But, truth be told, and I'm just saying this purely platonically, I'm just speaking. It's not anything against George Yarno. George Yarno, and this, kind of speaks to the situation as it was in Jacksonville that year with our coaching staff. There were multiple weeks where George Yarno did not correctly teach the scheme to us for the games we were going to be playing in. And I say that in that he had incorrect, he gave us incorrect answers to questions that we asked. And the communication pipeline on that team with the coaches, it was terrible. Didn't exist, really, in my opinion. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, quality control. That's what Jed Fish was with the New England Patriots before he went back to coach in Miami. and then he came to Jacksonville. He was this guy right here. Offensive quality control. That's the guy who prints up all the shit. Defense coordinator. Bob Babich. Hold on. Let me take a look at him real quick. No pictures? Coach Babich. I thought he was the I thought he was Coach Babich was he had experience. Coach Babich had experience. Todd Wash, I believe Todd Wash, it was his first year in Jacksonville. Coach Duffner, Coach Duff. Coach Duff was actually Coach Duff actually made it through all the coaching changes in Jacksonville because he coached good. He was a great coach. He was somebody who was with Jack Del Rio as linebackers coach when Jack Del Rio was head coach in Jacksonville. So he had been there as long as I had been there. But then, the rest of these people on here, they had no NFL experience. They had no NFL coaching experience. I don't even remember none of them. Our strength and conditioning coach, Tom, he was good. He had NFL experience, though. He played in the NFL. So all in all, we had like 3 or 4 coaches who had any NFL experience whatsoever, and the rest didn't have any. And really, like I said, when you're in situations where guys they just don't have the knowledge at that point to really set any kind of, hold on now. I see you, Eugene Monroe, right? Hey, hold on. Eugene knows too. Hey, Gene, I'm about to call you. Hey, Eugene knows too. I'm about to call him right now. Eugene will tell him. Because they ended up trading Eugene. They ended up trading him. Let me call this cat. Hold on. You better answer too. Eugene Monroe. See if we get him. Yo, what's up? I got you on the live stream.
You're froze now, but I just had to chime in. I see you going off about the Jags.
Oh man, I'm telling him this Urban Meyer. I'm totally disappointed with this Urban Meyer hiring. And I mean mainly because we've seen this before, Gene. When Gus Bradley came in. And all the coaches were first-year NFL coaches.
Yeah, it was really a shit show in terms of how things were run there that year. Really also in terms of how, the coaches communicated down to the players. And it was just really a mess.
No, I mean, I've been talking to people since the announcement was made, and they're all like, well, he's a winner. Well, and I'm telling them, like, look, that's not what you should be focused on, because college football and the NFL are obviously 2 different beasts. And if he doesn't have a great staff, and a staff that, in order to have a great staff, a great NFL staff, you're going to need some guys who have pedigree in the NFL. But if you don't have those kind of connections with NFL, people like that. Well, I don't know if Urban Meyer does or not, but if you don't have a network in the NFL to find coaches and to get coaches to be a part of your staff, then you're going to have to go to the areas that And for him, it's going to be more likely that he has that in the college realm. And if you bring college coaches up into the NFL, they're going to be in for a total culture shock. They are going to be flabbergasted at how to approach the different pressures of NFL football, even as coaches.
Well, on one hand, there hasn't been a lot, outside of really 1 year for Jags fans to be excited about. So, having a winning coach show up in the town, even though that NFL experience might be there, people, have hope that things may be different now.
Don't give me hope. Don't give me hope. You're going to be looking like the Giants. Yeah, no, man. Hey, I just wanted to call real quick, say what's up. I'm about to hop back on here now.
Do your thing. It's cool. I'm watching this thing.
All right, for sure. Yeah. Eugene Monroe, everybody. But no, and again, like there are a lot of things, and I don't know if you guys heard Eugene that well, but there are a lot of things that have to kind of sync up for the staff in Jacksonville. And, to a certain extent, Eugene is right. Like, hey, having a winner in town ain't such a bad thing. But, if you're kind of looking at the bigger picture of it, well, what benefits the Jacksonville franchise from a media standpoint, from a ticket sales standpoint, from a TV, maybe more nationally televised TV games standpoint, you're bringing back a coach who was the head coach of the school that's about 60 miles down the road, had multiple national championships there, and in a kind of ironic way, that was the team that everybody in Jacksonville would go see play on Saturday and not show up to a Jags game on Sunday, even though they're Jags fans. Jags were having, hell, when we went to the playoffs, we had blackouts in Jacksonville, TV blackouts, because the stadium couldn't get filled. But 60 miles down the road, you got 100,000 damn near in there. And that coach is coming, the coach who built that house at that point is coming to Jacksonville. So on one end, I look at, the comment of having a winning culture. To have a winning culture, you need somebody who knows how to win. I look at that and I say, sure. But at what point does it become about trying to recoup money on a lot of major projects that have been taken into action in Jacksonville by the Cons, and needing to get some money? Because, I don't know where Jacksonville's apparel is ranked in sales, but them jerseys look like shit. Can't be that high. There's nobody on the team that, there was a guy who everybody has conveniently forgot about since he has faded into obscurity, not through any fault of his own, Gardner Minshew II. But Gardner Minshew, a guy who before this hire was the biggest thing coming out of Jacksonville, out of Jacksonville in the last year at least, he just kind of faded out. I kind of told Jacksonville fans would ask me, and I would tell y'all, I don't buy it. And I'm not saying he's not good. I'm saying in Jacksonville, I don't buy it. Not for Gardner Minshew. I think Gardner Minshew is better suited to go play somewhere like Washington. I think he could be successful there. I think he could be successful in Carolina. I think he could be successful there as well. He could be good. He could be good in Denver. There's a lot of places that Minshew could play. But this franchise, once they got to like 1-6, 1-7, they was like, nah, we going for that Trevor. We going for that TL. So the writing was on the wall for Minshew. But nobody's denying the resume of Urban Meyer. Nobody's denying that. Only Only thing that I look at with Urban Meyer as his resume, as it glistens, there is a couple of spots of coffee on there. And a lot of that has to do with his short stints. If things started to look like they were getting a little bit too hot, Urban Meyer's gone. He gets sick. And that was the first thing that came to my mind, actually, when they said they hired him. I'm like, well, what happens when his heart starts fucking up again? Because if he thought college football was stressful, if he thought that it's hard to have a college football head coach schedule, then what does he think the NFL head coach schedule is going to be like? What does he think those weeks are going to be like? We go year round. In the NFL, we go year round. It's not, summer. Then you got most of the summer off. Then you got training camp, season, winter workouts, and then that's it. Spring ball. So things are spread out with nice breaks in between after the season ends. And the NFL, you get done if you play to the Super Bowl. If you get to the Super Bowl, you're finished at the end of the first week in February, and then you'll be back at your facility training in the second week of April. So you get like a month. Really, you get like 3 weeks, because all us guys who didn't make the playoffs, we've been chilling since the end of December. So we got 3 months. And then we start, 2 months or a month and a half off, then you start training again. But the NFL schedule is far more grueling, and it's far more grueling for coaches, not players. Players, actually, it's kind of all right. You know when you're getting your breaks, when you're, hey, we're coming in from this time to this time, and we out. Y'all fuck that up, we calling the NFLPA, they're going to shut the whole OTAs down. Don't fuck with us. That's what we do. But for coaches, it's far different. It is going to be far more stressful. It's going to be far more demanding. His time is going to be short with anything that doesn't have to do with that NFL franchise. And you're a new head coach, and people are going to expect you're going to talk at every event. You're going to be at every gathering. You're going to be at every golf tournament in Jacksonville. You're going to be there. You're going to be there. So, yeah, he's going to get paid a lot of money, but there's going to be a lot of stress that comes with that money. And for somebody the last thing I remember about Urban Meyer, he was damn near on all fours at Ohio State during the course of one game, looking like he was about to die. I'm like, yo, this dude like about to have an aneurysm. What's going on? And, he looked like he was falling apart to me. Now, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But from what we've been told, he has apparent health issues. And just because you've been off from coaching for some years don't mean that as soon as you get back into that environment that those health issues aren't going to come back. You're going to be in an environment that's probably 5 times as pressure-filled as what you were dealing with at Ohio State. And they got standards over there. They got their ass kicked too, but they got some standards. I'll give them whatever. They fucking embarrassed us again. They embarrassed the Big Ten. So those are my kind of caveats. Like a coach who doesn't have any particular record of he doesn't have any lengthy stays as a head coach in different places. He's in and out of everywhere. And yeah, he got championships, but hey, as soon as there was controversy in Florida, pew, he gone. He was out of there. You know what I mean? And hey, in the NFL, ain't nowhere for you to hide if things start going south. My question is, if things don't work out quickly for him, if he goes 2 years and he doesn't have a winning record in 2 years, does the clock start ticking until he's out the door? Until he literally just comes up with, oh, I got ulcers, I'm out. Is he going to just is he going to have another health issue if things aren't going well? Is he going to, what is the man? I'm really concerned about what is his attitude. How is he going to deal with players? Because from what I've heard from players who have been coached under him, when I talked about dictatorship, that's what he's about. Control freak. Though that's the word that I heard. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to be able to understand how to delegate certain aspects of the team building side to other coaches. But if things start getting tight, if things start getting a little sketchy, is he just going to start barreling down on everybody in the building? Because if that's the case, the locker room's going to be gone in a heartbeat. Shoot, locker room will be gone in a heartbeat. You start doing all that, it's really, these are things that are so night and day when you compare the NFL to college. That's part of why it doesn't really matter if he was a winner in college, if he's never had any NFL experience. It doesn't matter. Nick Saban was a winner in college, came to the NFL, and he swore he'd never go back. He went back into college because the NFL ate him alive. It was not what he thought it was going to be. It was not what he thought it was going to be. So, matter of fact, let's look at a couple. Let's see what some coaches. I know there were a few coaches this year in the NFL. There were a few coaches who, let me see. Let's see here. We'll get to Eric Bieniemy in a second. First year NFL coaches 2020 records. All right, so we got grading first-year NFL coach or first-year head coaches so far. What week was this in? This is Bleacher Report. This is towards the end of the season. So let's see where everybody was at, because I know. Matt Rule, Carolina Panthers. They didn't look so good, but they gave him a C+. Kevin Stefanski, I don't know if he was a college coach. I know Rule was a first-year NFL coach. Judge was a first-year NFL. No, Judge wasn't a first-year NFL coach. Is he? Yeah, Judge. No, he was he was New England special teams coach. That's who he was. And they gave him a B. Ron Rivera. So I guess Rule was the only one that came straight out of college, right? Guess that must be what it was. All good. Well, I mean, that's the only example we got right now. But, with all that being said about Urban Meyer, I do want to talk about Eric Bieniemy. Because I think there are valid points on both sides of the argument as to, I guess, how much experience does he have within the structure of his own team. But, if you're going to put up stats from Urban Meyer and say, hey, look at all these W's he got in college, well, then we can do the same thing about Eric Bieniemy. So this first article this one's coming out the Star Tribune. And it says, if Kansas City's Eric Bieniemy is passed over again, the NFL has a problem. A report Wednesday suggested the coordinator of Kansas City's dominant offense won't get a head job again this offseason. I mean, Adam Gase got a head coaching position. Adam Gase got a head coaching position for the New York Jets. They called him a guru. They said that he was some analytics fucking dynamo. Like, he's fired. He's gone. He's gone because he was fucking terrible. But this guy, let's talk here about Eric Bieniemy. Since Eric Bieniemy took over as offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2018, they have the number one scoring offense, number one total offense in the NFL. His lack of head coaching interviews is a problem for the league. It's hard to say exactly what is more insulting or ludicrous. A tweeted report suggesting there's a very strong chance Kansas City offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy won't get a head coaching job again this offseason, or the reasons offered for that suggestion. Let's see here. This tweet is in question to the draft scouts, Matt Miller. Been texting with an NFL source this morning who thinks there's a very strong chance Bieniemy isn't hired for a head coaching opportunity this cycle. Cites concern about Andy Reid's coaching tree and timing with Chiefs expected to make another Super Bowl run. I mean, that's kind of bullshit, because there have been plenty of coaches who have ended up getting coaching jobs. Head coach, I don't know, but I'm sure there have been coaches who have went from a Super Bowl appearance to then signing as a head coach to another team right after that. We've seen that before, so that's kind of garbage. And then Andy Reid's coaching tree. Well, let me ask you this. Is Andy Reid's coaching tree any worse than, say, Bill Belichick's coaching tree? Because Bill Belichick's coaching tree is a special kind of garbage. It's a special kind of garbage. How many of them were how many of them got head coaching jobs and or coordinator jobs and were fired within 2 years of getting that job? 2 to 4 years of getting that job. There's a ton of them. The Bill Belichick coaching tree is a mirage. People looked at it because of the Super Bowls, but the Bill Belichick coaching tree had that credibility from their wins, but the way that team operated was different than other NFL teams. And it was different because Belichick operated it that way. And he didn't teach these motherfuckers how to operate it like he does it. They did whatever he said. But because the results were so good, they got jobs, even though they really weren't really qualified. I mean, Matt Patricia. I mean, perfect example. What a terrible, terrible coach. I mean, with the pencil in the air, you got fatter while you were there. Like, come on, dude. You know, when you're put in a position to be great by mere circumstances of being a part of a Patriots run to multiple Super Bowls, where really final say came down to Belichick. Belichick set the agenda, he set the tempo, and as far as the coaches go, and Brady set the tempo and followed Belichick's agenda on the field. And that, if you're really looking at it, I mean, if you're really looking deep down at it, there wasn't any real indicator that their offensive coordinators were really that great, or their defense coordinators. Romeo Crennel, garbage coordinator. Once he left New England and became a head coach, he was garbage. What was the other fat guy that went to Notre Dame? I hated him because I was at Purdue when he became the head coach at Notre Dame. Him and Brady Quinn circle jerking each other. You know, Brady Quinn showed up to Purdue one weekend after a game. We saw him on campus. Like, we saw him on the strip where our campus bars were. We literally had just beat Notre Dame, and that night we seen Brady Quinn at our bars. We're like, you lost, motherfucker? But Charlie Weiss, thank you, Ryan Kennel. Charlie Weiss was a objective failure as the head coach of Notre Dame. He didn't win shit. I mean, he won games, but he didn't win shit. The way that he was touted to actually be touchdown Jesus, come down from above. The way that they touted him to be touchdown Jesus. every good team that they played, or in the first year, they kicked our ass. Truth, can't lie. But every team that they played that was a top-ranked team, I mean, much like Notre Dame now, they get their ass kicked. So the Belichick tree was deceptive. It was a deception. It was a mirage. Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy's situation is a little bit different. His situation is he's actually in grooming with Kansas City. Like, Andy Reid's giving him the fucking scrolls with the sacred text in it. He's giving him the info. He's giving him the knowledge to actually take the fruit from his tree and go plant another one with another team and go build another tree, grow another tree. Like, he's giving him that. And I mean, whether he calls the plays or not, the guy is part of designing the offense itself. I mean, his credentials can be really placed up next to Urban Meyer's, and I will take Eric Bieniemy 7 days out of the week. He got a Super Bowl. He's coaching the quarterback who was a Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, NFL MVP. He's already a Hall of Famer, and he ain't even in year 5. Who did you want to draft first overall? Trevor Lawrence? Don't you think Trevor Lawrence and Patrick Mahomes have a similar style of play to a certain extent? As mobile quarterbacks who can get the ball down the field, whether it be with their legs or whether it be with their cannons that they can throw the ball with. I mean, yeah, he didn't have a superb game against Ohio State, but I'll never take Justin Fields over Trevor Lawrence. What? Did you watch Justin Fields in the national championship game? I mean, this is a little bit, this is just weird to me. I just don't get it. Let me take a second here real quick, because I've been yammering. Let me go back through these super chats. Sorry, I have not grabbed onto these real quick, but let me go through them. We got first super chat here. We got from Nicholas Katz. Nicholas Katz for $5. Appreciate that. He says, because you tell it like it is, and you damn right, brother, because I tell it like it is. RC from NYC for $5 says, what's up, Uche? What's up, chat? Hope all is good. Appreciate you, RC from NYC. He is a trench master member on my channel. Cason's Conniptions, or Cason's Conniptions. Welcome, new member there. Camp Body. I see you. You cheaping it out a little bit, but Camp Body, it's cool. It's only $1.99, but that's cool. It's 2021. I feel you. No, but appreciate that very much. Thank you for joining the offensive line. That is the membership. That's the name of my members. They're the O-line, but thank you for joining. He joined at the Camp Body level, which is the entry level, which is fine. If you want to join at the entry level, that is perfectly fine. Anybody who wants to think about joining, then you got the join button down below. He leaves a $5 super chat himself. Appreciate that, my man. He says, sup, Uche, love the channel. You are criminally underrated as a football player and a YouTuber. Respect. Ah, yes, indeed, my friend, indeed. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. But I went on a slight rant there. Let me get back to this article. And honestly, I think the article is about to talk about some things that I talked about myself. Says here, first, the fact that Bieniemy, the former Vikings running back coach under Brad Childress, who is now in charge of the NFL's best offense, and most dangerous QB, Patrick Mahomes, stands to get passed over for an opportunity, again, is absurd on merit. It is absurd on merit. And we'll talk more about how I compare this with the hiring that Jacksonville made in a moment. Among the most obvious hires a team in need of a coach can make is to nab a high-level assistant from another team. There's none better than Bieniemy, whose offense fueled last year's Super Bowl run and has Kansas City in position to go back-to-back this year. Head coach Andy Reid calls the plays, sure, but he's also praised Bieniemy for his acumen and leadership. Beyond that, though, the two specific reasons outlined for passing him over are even more ridiculous. And note, that is not to blame Miller, who is merely the messenger. Okay. Concerns about the Andy Reid coaching tree. Those branches are full of Super Bowl winning coaches like John Harbaugh and Doug Peterson. He's been fired, we know, but he still has a Lombardi trophy, which is something Urban Meyer nor the Jaguars have. Plus, coaches who have, matter of fact, Doug Peterson is a better hire, in my opinion, than Urban Meyer. Shit, what? Head to head, I'll take Doug Peterson. Come on, man. Plus, coaches who have turned teams around like Sean McDermott and Matt Nagy. Compared to, say, Bill Belichick's coaching tree, it's even more successful. And yet Belichick assistants keep getting hired. This is true. Some of them right after the Super Bowl, which brings us to the second assertion. The teams don't want to wait for Bieniemy because Kansas City might still be playing for a few more weeks. That is absolutely 100% true, because I've seen coaches leave and sign with new teams right after the Super Bowl. It happens every year almost. Happens almost every year. Again, nonsense. Go back 2 cycles and you'll find assistants for the Patriots, the Patriots and Rams who were named head coaches. The year before that, OC Frank Reich was hired by the Colts after leading the Eagles to a Super Bowl title. The year before that, offense coordinator Kyle Shanahan was hired by the 49ers after he helped the Falcons reach the Super Bowl. Teams wait for the best candidates at all time because, hiring a coach that helped the team reach a Super Bowl is a good mark on a resume. There's no guarantee that Bieniemy will succeed as a head coach, but there is ample evidence that he deserves a chance. Maybe the Texans will end up doing the right thing. They've added Bieniemy to their list of head coach interview candidates, quite possibly as a means of repairing their relationship with QB Deshaun Watson. That is actually, you know what? This is crazy. I just had like deja vu. The Jaguars, once again, going for the sexy pick when they could have picked Russell Wilson in the 3rd round. They picked Tyson Alualu, who was supposed to be, who was supposed to be like a 2nd round pick. They picked him in the 1st round and skipped on Russell Wilson, if I'm remembering this correctly. Skipped on Russell Wilson in the 3rd round. I think they drafted a punter. I think it was Brian Anger. I think it was. I might be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. But it feels like the Jags have done this before. They hire something because it looks good when the player that is good is right on their other side, and they decide not to go with that one. And then in 3 years, you find out what a bad move it was. How many times did that happen in Jacksonville? How many times? Yeah, there you go. Eugene said it right there. Daryl Smith, Buck, we called him in the locker room, but Daryl Smith was an outside linebacker. Oh no, he was he started outside linebacker. No, he was outside linebacker because we had Paul Posluszny at middle linebacker. But Buck wanted to stay in Jacksonville. His whole career was in Jacksonville. And you have Dave Caldwell, who's been fired since, but you have Dave Caldwell, who doesn't offer Daryl Smith a new contract because they're trying to purge the team. Daryl Smith goes to Baltimore, and you never even hear Baltimore talk about, whoa, wish we had Ray Lewis. Nobody said that in Baltimore while Daryl Smith was there. You didn't even notice. Well, you noticed that Ray Lewis was gone, but nobody missed Ray Lewis. Not to say they didn't miss him, but there wasn't an obvious there wasn't an obvious falling off of that middle linebacker position when he came to Baltimore. He played like 7 more years, or like 5 or 6 more years in Baltimore, leading tackler. This was a guy who got shunned by Jacksonville. Hey, Eugene was there too. They traded Eugene. Eugene knows this. If he didn't deal with some injury issues, Eugene would have had 4 or 5 more years with Baltimore. They gave him an extension. Like, it's hard because when I was in Jacksonville, Eugene knows this. Eugene knows it. Any player who was in Jacksonville with me knew it. If you were there from 2000, Eugene was like three years behind me, but he came in at that moment where things were where it was like, boom. We witnessed the franchise get broken down over a 4-year span and get pulled to shreds. Like, brick by brick, we witnessed a freaking franchise be destroyed and go from a team that was a playoff contender. 2009, boom, yeah, he came right at the time. That was right after we had 2008 year was a wash because we had a bunch of injuries, but we still had a playoff team. The 2017 we had was still a playoff team. And Eugene was our first round pick, and we had talent. We had talent everywhere, I would say, except for wide receivers, probably where we were lacking in talent when you compare to other NFL teams at that time. But Maurice Jones-Drew, like Darryl Smith, we saw Rasheem Mathis, all these guys were still in their prime, playing ball. Like, we had all of these decisions that were being made over the course of time, from like 2009 to 2009 to like 2012, 2013, 2014, 2013. You just saw players that, you see players who just begin to just evaporate. Guys who were like core players, guys who were definitely worthy of being part of, who were essential to us being able to compete to even get into playoffs, because we did that for multiple years. Ultimately it lost Jack Del Rio his job, kinda. But when you're playing for something in December, you're having an all right season if you're playing for something in December. But it seems like we would just continuously see Jacksonville make decisions that just didn't figure to help how is this helping the franchise? And again, I digress. I'm not trying to say that this can't help the franchise in hiring Urban Meyer. I'm just saying it feels like when you look at some of the other possibilities out there, there were clearly options that I feel like are better gambles. They're better gambles than a guy who has only coached in college, who has bailed on multiple programs, who didn't stay anywhere too long. And if we're being real about it, Florida Gators were probably the most talented college football team in the nation when he was the head coach. Same goes for Ohio State. Man for man, Ohio State probably was one of the top 3 most talented universities in the country when he was their head coach. To have those kind of teams is completely – to have those kind of teams, you have overwhelming talent. There is going to be maybe only 3 teams in your entire schedule that can even come close to challenging you. Unless you play down, you're going to blow out everybody that you play against or win handily. Alabama does it year in and year out. And they're even in the toughest division, and they're walking through cats because of the talent levels and more so with Alabama, I think it's more the intimidation level, the intimidating reputation that Alabama has. I think plays big into why teams just lose before they really even play against Alabama. And I mean, you saw it on Monday when Ohio State played against them. Ohio State, I mean, they had middle linebackers covering the Heisman Trophy winner. That's when I knew that they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They just didn't know what they were doing. How are you playing soft two coverage with your middle linebacker trying to cover the Heisman Trophy winner in the slot? Like, that doesn't make any sense. That means you don't know what plays to call. You don't know what defenses to call because you're being hesitant. Okay, I'm looking here at the chat. Eugene's saying, have I ever publicly talked about those rookie duties in videos that year? Baltimore would never wasted a second of film meetings for that. You talking about like the bring in like are you talking about Yarno? The rookie duties. Shit, what? I mean, I'm thinking about it. Man, that whole year with Yarno, I mean, it's a blur to me now. It's a blur to me now because let me see. Remember, publicly talked about those rookie duties and videos that year. He wasted a meeting every week. I don't know if he kept doing that by the time by the time they had traded you. Rookies had to bring strip. Oh, yeah, I do remember Eugene. Yeah, I do remember that, Eugene. Oh, that shit's crazy because we would sit in meetings. Oh my God, I forgot about that. Coach Yarno, R.I.P. Coach Yarno would oh my God. Yes, I remember that shit 100%. This was the kind of foolishness that was going on when you have coaches who don't really have experience coaching at the NFL level. Okay, so we interrupt this article that I had faded off from. And, okay, so, yeah, get your popcorn. So Coach Yarno used to have the offensive line, the rookies, he would send the rookies out on a mission every week they'd have to come back. They have to come into a meeting, our first meeting of the week, every week. They need to come back with a stripper's panties or bra or, whatever, undergarments. He wanted undergarments. They had to bring them into the offensive lineman room, or offensive line meeting room. So, and this was like every week he would ask all of the rookie O-linemen, what do you got for me? What do you got for me? What do you got for me? And, I know a couple of guys, whipped out like some, and we're talking about Jacksonville, Florida here. Strip clubs aren't very great. They're not great. So they were whipping out like strippers' panties. They look like fucking dirty. And I'm like, God, get rid of that shit. And, just things like that. Right. But also, I remember one day in practice or one day in meetings, we actually, we're sitting down. The film's not on yet, but the film, we're expecting the film to start up. This motherfucker puts on okay, let me make sure I get this right. He puts on a sex change surgery video, like graphic, like it was so bad. It was so bad. I looked up and saw them using a scalpel to split a motherfucker's split a motherfucker's shit. And as soon as he started to fold it inside out, I put my fucking head on the table and I just put my head on the table. And I just waited until it was over. I just waited until the video was no longer being played, because we had either just eaten lunch or eaten breakfast, one of those two. So I was like, no, there's no way I'm about to like sit up in here and throw up watching this shit. Like, why are we watching this, coach? And he's like, oh yeah, I thought it was interesting. Yeah, that was, you know what? It's crazy that you remember that, Eugene, because I had stricken that. Yeah, it took the whole meeting. Yes. I had stricken that from my brain. I was a repressed memory. Cause I looked up like 2 times during that film session. I looked up like 2 times during that. And I was just like, no, what the fuck? Like, what are we doing here? But yeah, that's crazy. That's a pretty crazy story. I was crazy, and damn, Eugene, I can't believe you remembered that, because I had stricken that from my mind. But as soon as you said the sex change joint, I said, oh my God. And the strippers. Yeah, he had us doing some stupid stuff. You know, and again, it comes down to, that's a situation where you have coaches who weren't necessarily qualified to be in the position that they were in. And, you know, as a group as a position on the field where you have to have the most cooperation and the most efficient communication possible, you just didn't get that. You just didn't get that. And that is where, when I talk about Urban Meyer needing to have a staff that has actual football pedigree, I'm talking about NFL pedigree, that's where really the entire foundation of the Jaguars moving forward is going to rest at. It's going to rest at who are the people who he has brought in to coach as staff members, because, you know, he is not going to be the guy calling the plays. He's the figurehead of the team. He's the motivator. He is part of that. He is that kind of president position as a head coach. You know, yeah, all the shit's coming on you if it goes south, but you also get a ton of the praise if it goes well. Even though you're not necessarily you're not coaching every position, you're just overseeing the general state of the team. Somebody said oh shit, somebody said Urban Meyer has officially become a saint in the Catholic Church by performing 3 miracles, curing himself of cancer and heart disease 3 times. Wow. Oh man. But yeah, so all right. I know we went way the hell off on this one, but Eric Bieniemy is, I think, a more, that is a gamble I would rather take. If looking at it from the NFL level, I would rather take the gamble of having an Eric Bieniemy. It's not going to be necessarily a breaking news ESPN report that interrupts table tennis, but you have somebody who currently. Whoa. You have somebody who currently, at that moment, is in an environment, in a part of a franchise that has achieved competitive greatness. They have achieved the goal that every other team sets out to achieve. And they are, by all intents and purposes, by everything we can tell, they look to be on their way to at least compete to get another one in the next, 48 hours. So I just don't understand how you look at Urban Meyer and his college resume, but you don't have the foresight to look at what is actually in your own league that understands the culture of the professional league and will be able to help build a winning culture based on what they've learned in, with teams that have Lombardi trophies. Like, it's just hard to overstate how completely narrow-sighted Jacksonville was in this hire. They were complete tunnel vision. Urban Meyer has had the luxury of the top collegiate athletes in every program that he dealt with prior to or post Utah. And Utah, they were even good. They had Alex Smith. The Jaguars were just they had tunnel vision. They got fucking sucked in by glittery fucking trophies, and they're giving up $12 million a year for it. You know the last time the Jaguars made a decision like that? Mike Mularkey. Oh, that's I can hear people's stomachs turning when I said Mike Mularkey. That's the last time the Jaguars made a decision like that, where they went for somebody who they felt, because they come from one spot that has had that success, that it means that'll be the same for them. Mike Mularkey was never supposed to be a head coach. They gave him a head coach job. He ruined it in Jacksonville. Oh, he ruined it in Jacksonville very badly. And Mularkey went on to Tennessee, didn't do shit at Tennessee. They sent him packing too. But I just honestly believe that if you, and look, I'm not naive. I understand that the guy has won everywhere he's been. But let me tell you something. Dominating at Bowling Green doesn't mean shit in the NFL. Dominating with Ohio State doesn't mean shit in the NFL. Dominating with Florida doesn't mean shit in the NFL, because I can take the fucking worst team in NFL history and I can walk through every collegiate football team in the country and might give up a touchdown or two through the course of it, if we're being real. Let's be real. There's not a college football team with enough talent to survive a half of football with NFL players. Period. Change my mind. You know what I would do to college football defensive linemen if when I was playing? I used to think about that. I was like, man, I wish I knew all the shit I know now when I was in college. I'd have been a fucking All-American every year. I'd have been the first pick in the NFL draft. They'd have been like, this guy is doing so much dirty shit to these cats, throwing them through sidelines. Yeah. Because, it's that different. It's that level of difference. Got a super chat here coming from Rich. Rich for $5. He says, great show. Thank you very much, Rich. I appreciate that. Hope you are enjoying. Hope everyone's enjoying. Make sure you smash that like button. I see I got 3 dislikes. Well, you know what? Tim Tebow sucks. You guys are probably Gators fans. Anyways. All right. So, and, kind of segueing back over into this article. Deshaun Watson, can you imagine if Eric Bieniemy gets the head coaching job in Houston? Can you imagine what he could do with Deshaun Watson? It doesn't matter if he's not calling the plays in Kansas City. He understands exactly how to use a player like Patrick Mahomes. Deshaun Watson, another player. Deshaun Watson, another player who has traits similar to that of Patrick Mahomes. More elusive even than Patrick Mahomes. If you watched him in the pocket at all this year, that motherfucker has been he was doing all kinds of Houdini tricks to get out, to keep from getting his ass hit with a pile driver with that offensive line he has in Houston. He was making all kinds of shit happen to keep from taking sacks. I mean, I was impressed with it. I was like, yo, Deshaun Watson he has got amazing pocket presence. He is under siege. He is under siege almost every play, but they can't sack him. They can't sack him. If you looked at the most sacks given up throughout the course of the game, or throughout the course of the season, through teams, Houston is surprisingly. I don't know. Let me see. I don't think they're at the bottom. Oh, Jets hire 49ers DC Saleh as coach. See, the Jets didn't go look, let's go get Urban Meyer. Let's go get Urban Meyer. We can beat the Jaguars to it. God. The more I think about it, the worse a hire it was. It's not even front page no more. Fuck. This was a bad move by the Jags. Now, look, I am a Jaguar. I bleed teal and black. In my heart of hearts, I hope that Urban Meyer is successful in Jacksonville. I really do. I hope that. I hope. But, that feeling, we call it our gut feeling. You usually get that gut feeling about decision making, about, trying to have foresight and see how things are going to play out in, whether it be your life or whether it be in sports, whatever. That gut feeling, we try, like, for instance, if I'm in Vegas and I'm gambling and I feel like I have won enough money, or I feel like I'm winning a lot of money, and I'm like, you know what? My gut will just hit me with a real sharp little ding. Hey, I think we're good. I think we've done enough. I think we've won enough money. And 95% of the time, you tell that little sharp gut twitch. You tell it, hey, shut the fuck up. I'm still playing here. We're taking every cent they got. You know that the gut impulse was right. Get your ass up and leave before they take everything you won from them back. You know it was right, but you ignored it anyway. That's what I'm feeling about this hire. Everybody's like, oh, Urban Meyer. But in my gut, this looks like a Jaguars kind of move. And if it looks like a Jaguars kind of move, it will probably fail. That's what my gut is telling me. My gut is telling me this was a dumb move. There's nobody else with all these coaching positions that were open. Nobody was even going after Urban Meyer. Nobody was. So why the fuck did we make that call? Wow. Unbelievable. I was talking about the Houston Texans, but this just kind of, got in my way. The more I think about this hire, at first I just was kind of soundly in my head, I was peacefully resolute that this was just not a good move to make because he doesn't have any NFL experience. Like, he doesn't have any NFL experience. Does he know how to get a team ready for training camp? Does he know how to get a team ready for how are they gonna operate and maintain themselves during the regular season? Is he gonna have guys in full pads on Wednesdays all the way through the season? Because that's what they do in college. I can only think of a few times that happened to me in the NFL, and it wasn't fun seasons. I know that. But the more I think about it, and you look at other teams like Robert Saleh going to the Jets after they just fired Adam Gase because he was a fucking bum. They gave this dude a 5-year deal. You've seen the defenses that he has produced in San Francisco. You've seen when they're not obliterated by injuries. He has fielded a very good defense in San Fran for years. Come on, folks. You can't. I mean, I know that Jacksonville. I know we're tired of fucking looking like bums, but we did that to ourselves. I just don't think that you just settle for a good college. Even a great college coach, even an exceptional college coach. I don't want him. Make him a coordinator. You just let him be a head coach in the NFL. Like, make him a coordinator. If he calls if Urban Meyer calls the plays, oh my God. Oh, if he calls the plays, it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. I'm telling you. It's going to be rough for these guys. If he's calling the plays and he's the head coach, he's going to have, well, no, I'm not going to say that. He is going to tell us he's having health issues by week 16. That's a joke. That's a joke. Let's see here. Look where he's been. Before San Francisco, Saleh served as a defensive assistant with the Jacksonville Jaguars, Seattle Seahawks, and Houston Texans. In scheme and personality, he's closely aligned with Seattle coach Pete Carroll. Shit, man. I mean, this looks like a better move than what the Jaguars made. This looks like a better move. This guy looks like a better move for this team than Urban Meyer is for the Jaguars. This shit is crazy. Look at this. Panthers hire Seahawks Fitterer to be new GM. This is how you win. This is how you change the trajectory of your franchise. You search within your own league. The fuck? Nobody's going to college. That's the crazy part. There ain't nobody looking to college for no jobs to bring anybody up to the NFL as a head coach or a GM. There's not one, except for the Jaguars. Jeez. Even these cats, they got a college head coach and they had a shit record, and they already have to like get rid of the quarterback they got because he's not a franchise guy, and they paid him 80-something million or some shit. I don't know. They're already having to retune after 1 year under a first year head coach out of college. I just can't fathom. You know what? Let me take me to Twitter. Take me to Twitter. Twitter, tell me what's happening. Why? Why did this happen? You know what? Okay, we got that. Okay. Okay, so here's the Jaguar great. Fred Taylor. You know what? No. I don't want to get no copyright strikes. Look at him. He's going to make it through the NFL season. He doesn't even look interested in signing that. It's a joke. I mean, I'm like conflicted. I'm not conflicted. This is a bad hire. I see somebody's in the chat talking about Urban Meyer coaching tree is very extensive and impressive. Name anybody out of his coaching tree that is a coach in the NFL. Coordinator or head coach. Those two positions. Ugh. I mean, I'm just... Let me take a sip. Hold on. I'm just like... I'm just like, why do they need? Why? He wasn't even coaching. RC from NYC. Perfect. That is exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. RC from NYC says, your first hunch is usually your best. When I heard the deal was almost done, I thought of Steve Spurrier signing with Washington. Boom! That is it. That's what it is. Now I can actually like close the loop on what I was missing. And there was something that I couldn't put my finger on it, that I felt like I've seen this shit before. And there it is. Huh. Whoa. What are you talking about? Who picked Dwayne Haskins over Joe Burrow? Who did that? Oh, that's what Urban Meyer did? Oh my God. Joe Burrow did transfer from Ohio State. He did do that. Hold on. Only good head coach from Myers Tree is Titans head coach. What? Hold on. Well, technically, Mike Vrabel would be technically considered, I mean, he'd be technically, I would think, because I think he's more Belichick than Vrabel. I think he's more Belichick tree, or more Belichick tree for Vrabel than Meyer, for damn sure. I don't feel this. Huh. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. And in a year or two, we'll be sitting at this same spot in the same week, and the Jaguars are in the divisional round trying to get into the AFC title game. Maybe that'll happen. But I tell you one thing, The Jaguars have spent a ton of money on shit that looks good. They've spent a lot of money on shit that looks good. So I'm not going to hold my breath on that. I played on that field a ton of times. For better or for worse, I'm a Jaguars fan. I have teams that I grew up liking, but when I do a franchise on Madden, I'm doing it with the Jaguars. When I do a dynasty on NCAA, I'm doing it with Purdue. That's just how I am. But this, to me, is, when I think about it, the more I think about it, it's a bad move that they hope they got right. But if it's a bad move, at least they'll get the Florida crowd to come to games on Sundays. That's what this looks like to me. That's what this looks like it's going to turn into at a certain point if the team doesn't take the turn with Urban Meyer that people, I don't know if people even expect that, but that the Jaguars hope to have. Hope. That's what we're talking about here, guys. Hope. Because, let me see. What other hires are being made in the NFL right now? This is crazy. This is crazy. Man, can you guys believe that they were talking about Deshaun Watson for Tua? Apparently there are players in Miami who don't feel like Tua is the guy, and that would be surprising. This early, they already kind of see that. That's surprising. That's surprising to me. But Robert Saleh as head coach for the Jets, I think that's a good move that is going to help that franchise. First thing it's going to do is it's going to give them a sound defense. It's going to give them a sound defensive philosophy to work behind. Instead of the old Greg Williams send the entire fucking envoy on 4th and 20, zero blitz. Oh, God. But this is a guy who has a ton of NFL experience at the highest levels, and he built some of the best defenses in the past, 4 or 5 years. This guy has value. In the NFL, he has value. Urban Meyer doesn't have any value in the NFL. He has none. He has to build value for himself. If Urban Meyer didn't get offered $12 million a year by Jacksonville, does he come out of retirement for anybody? Does he even reach out to a team to see if there's a chance that they may want to look at, having him as a coach? No. And that's the problem that's a problem to me. That he came out, Urban Meyer himself came out, I won't say that he came out, but it was made known that he wanted $12 million a year. Excuse me? $12 million a year with no NFL experience. See, these are the things. This is where the difference is. This is where you begin to see where the teams that know what the fuck they're doing, they don't allow a collegiate head coach to dictate fucking terms when he hasn't done anything. You know what? I hate to do this because I like him. I really do respect him. I got to put this on Khan. That's on you, bro. Hey, if it works out, great. But I'm not holding my breath. I am actively getting more irritated as I think about this, because it's buffoonery. Where that's who he took. This is so. I mean, look, there really might be an issue. Dwayne Haskins was his guy. Ha! Joe Burrow went to LSU, won the Heisman Trophy, got a national title. If you played LSU against Ohio State with Dwayne Haskins at quarterback for Ohio State, LSU blows them the fuck out, like every other team blows Ohio State out in national title games. Huh. Oh, shit. I hate these ads. If anybody knows a good ad blocking software that I can like throw on my shit, put it in the chat for me, please. But I look at this again. It really is just this shit blows my mind, because I mean, whatever. You know what? Fuck it. Whatever. You know. Whatever. You block Origin. I'm gonna download that. I mean, I'm looking at this, guys, and and I don't know how many people in here are Jaguars fans, but just temper your expectations, please. Please temper your expectations. A victory, and I'm talking about cheer and celebrate 6 wins. 6 wins. Because if he can do that in the first year with the roster he got right now, there's so many elements to this that people are not seeing. There's so many elements to this that y'all aren't seeing, and it goes into my head, and then now I have to go into another diatribe. Here's another issue with Jacksonville that I'm not sure Shad Khan understands this yet, or maybe he does. I don't know, but I sure did understand it after about my 3rd, 4th season in Jacksonville. Players don't want to come to Jacksonville to play. Like free agent players, like free agency, like the top free agent players, the ones who can get you over the hump if you're a team trying to get into the playoffs, or can get you to the Super Bowl if you're a team that keeps getting, that's pulling Marvin Lewis kind of runs where you're just getting into the wild card round and getting bounced right out. Those kind of players will not go to Jacksonville. It's like, if you could imagine that Jalen Ramsey started with the Rams and all the shit that happened in Jacksonville for him happened in Los Angeles while he was with the Rams, and he wanted out of LA, I can tell you with 100% certainty he would not go to Jacksonville. That would not be a team he would be looking at to come play at. Jacksonville has a problem attracting game changers for the franchise in free agency. We just don't have that kind of luck. We don't have that kind of city. We don't have that kind of draw to the players who can give you those significant boosts as a franchise. We don't get those kind of players. No, I see in the chat somebody's talking about Marvin Lewis. No, Marvin Lewis. I met Marvin Lewis when they brought me to Cincinnati to talk to me in free agency. I got to, I sat down and talked with him in his office. Cool dude, liked him. Really, he just got a cool demeanor. Nothing against him saying He got bounced out in the first round yearly because he got bounced out. That's just that's what happened. But you know, it's wild because oh, whoops, what happened? We got to refresh. Okay. No, it's wild because I've seen free agents come through Jacksonville when I played there, like big time. These guys worked. There were a couple who were, I don't know if you would consider them big time, but Jacksonville had to pay them a lot of money to come to Jacksonville. Jerry Porter. Anybody remember Jerry Porter? Jerry Porter came from Oakland when they were the Raiders to Jacksonville. One of the best receivers in the NFL at the time. Got a $10 million signing bonus or $11 million signing bonus in Jacksonville. Hurt his hamstring in fucking like week 1. He was kind of in and out for a few weeks. But I mean, he caught 11 passes on the season. He caught one more pass than the money that he was paid as a signing bonus to come to Jacksonville. Drayton Florence, another cat that I love. Drayton was a nickel back who got paid number 1 cornerback money to come to Jacksonville because that's the only way they could get him here. They paid him like he was a number 1, and he was opposite of Rasheen. And I mean, look, that was the year we had Greg Williams as our defensive coordinator. So you know, we did every week. We ran cover 0 blitzes, and fucking Drayton Florence was getting hit with double moves all year long. This is the kind of shit that Jacksonville does. Jacksonville makes, Jacksonville makes these kind of decisions to get clout, but there's a better decision right over there if you just wait a little bit longer. There's another option that you need to take. You need to take into consideration. So, I guess at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. We'll see how this whole thing plays out. But I mean, it feels like a Jaguar move, and that's not a good feeling in my stomach. It's not a good feeling in my stomach, guys. It's just not. It's just not. It's just not a good feeling. Looking here in the chat. Oh, man. Woo! Let's see. I mean, I guess when I think about it right now, I'm thinking to myself, I'm wondering if Trevor Lawrence is going to be the first overall pick. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to fool myself. They can't be that dumb. Can they? Can they be that dumb? Do we know? Shit. Like, we really don't know. Because I'm just not, man, I mean, I feel like I'm good with feeling these kind of things out. I feel like I'm good with feeling these kind of things out, guys. I really do feel like I'm good at kind of seeing this stuff. This just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to me that they made this hire. It just doesn't. And I ain't even got nothing. I have nothing against Urban Meyer at all. I have nothing against him. Absolutely nothing against him. I just cannot understand the logic behind hiring him over the soon-to-be available coordinators and, even potentially a coach or two that may fit for the team. And, I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me because and I'm rehashing here, but damn it, it's just annoying. It's annoying. Why do we keep doing this? It says 1 in 15 right there. If you're going to swing for the fences, swing for the fucking fences in the league. Where you can at least amass a staff that would be fucking, that could be that's going to be well groomed in the league itself. Oh, man. It's one thing, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself in this because I feel like it's about time to wrap this up. But I really feel like, with all things considered, one of the harder things to do when you're dealing with grown men who are professionals, it's hard to, as a coach who isn't a professional, who's coming from the collegiate level, at least, when we speak in the regards of the relationship between the players and the coaches, as a player, I honestly, and this is me going back to talking about the year with Gus Bradley. And again, no disrespect to Jeff Fish, man. I mean, I don't want to put him out there like he was just, you know what I mean, like a bozo or nothing, because he wasn't. He just was green. He ain't know shit. He didn't know shit because he ain't been on our level. And when you try to talk to us like you know shit, but we the motherfuckers who been here, that's where there can be a real disconnect with the players. And if Urban Meyer walks into a locker room and conducts himself the way he did from an attitude standpoint, from what I've heard at Ohio State, there's not an NFL player who's going to hear that shit. It's not one. And I don't presume that he will go in with a negative attitude at all. But the head coach of a professional football team, is also a part of the team. The head coach, it's not the head coach over the players. It's the head coach with the players. Level, even, equal playing field. Equal respect, equal appreciation across the board. And that's not the world that Urban Meyer's been in. That's not the world he's been in. So that's going to be something he's going to, now if does he adjust to these kind of things and does he adjust to these kind of things and kind of find a new lane to go down? Maybe. Tom Coughlin did in New York with the Giants. So, but that took them having to drag him to that space mentally, kicking and screaming. Michael Strahan had to walk into his office and say, "Look, motherfucker, this shit it ain't going down like that. It's not." And you know what happened when he went back to Jacksonville? He did the same thing that to the Jaguars players that he tried to do to New York before Michael Strahan stepped in. Urban Meyer is said to kind of have that same kind of reputation. That's going to be a problem. So, we'll see how it plays out. I think that I would hope that I've given enough nuance to my perspective that people can understand why, as a player who has been in those locker rooms, a player who has been in that organization, a player who has, who has cheered the organization even, long after retiring and hoped for the organization to maintain the success it had, and hopes for the organization still to gain and be more successful moving into the future. But, I hope that you understand where a lot of my concerns come from. It comes from, his own character, his own stints and the falling outs that he had when he left, from his college years, mainly Florida and Ohio State, and really the fact that, and this isn't even on Urban Meyer, the fact that the Jaguars are the ones pointing to, hey, look at all these wins he got. Look at all these wins. That's wins. We're going to win. Look at all these wins. No, it don't mean shit. It doesn't mean nothing. And you're paying him top dollar. He ain't even done shit in this league. So, though, that my concerns stem from these rose-colored glasses that I feel like the Jaguars have on about that college shit he did meaning something to the NFL, because it doesn't. And just, what kind of culture is he going to build for the Jaguars moving forward? What kind of culture is this team going to have? I would expect and I hope that it's going to be at least on par with competitive franchises in the NFL. But again, what kind of talent assessing are they going to be able to do? What kind of who's going to have final call on roster moves? Like, these are all things that, I would assume, based on how big of a deal they've made of this, without even having a new GM in place, that he's going to be having final say on all that shit. And if that's the case, I'm definitely not holding my breath on a playoff run, because that's just another thing on his plate, and he himself doesn't even know how much food is going to be on his plate because he ain't never been at this level before. Holy shit. Holy shit. Can you imagine if they gave him GM duties as well? They allowed him to be the GM / head coach. Oh my God. If they do that, if Shad Khan lets him do that, ooh, it's going to be ugly. Bill O'Brien is the shining golden turd of an example of what happens when you allow a coach to also be your GM. They think they're too smart and they start doing stupid shit. Man. It's going to be interesting. See how this plays out. But that's going to do it for me here, guys. I've been going for a minute. Hey, I really appreciate everybody being on here. You guys have been great. I'm going through some of the chat here, just kind of revising through. If you throw, super chats in there, I will actually move the stream on while I go through the super chats and answer the super chats in great detail. Unless you're a member, like RC from NYC. He says, Uche, do you think Coach Del Rio will get a head coaching gig sometime soon? Well, he just got that DC gig, and there you go. You know what? I said this at the beginning of the season. I said that that Ron Rivera getting Jack Del Rio as his defense coordinator might have been one of the best moves of the offseason, because he turned he helped turn that. Well, he's a coordinator. He turned that defense into a fucking monster of a defense, playing excellent football. Now they just need a quarterback. If I was him, I might look at Gardner Minshew the second, because if you look at Heineke, he's got some mobility there. He kind of looked like Minshew a little bit with how he played. So there's a chance there for there's a chance there for Del Rio to. I mean, Del Rio will be a head coach. He'll be a head coach again. Once you get a head coaching job, you get a couple shots at head coaching. If you're a head coach, you get a couple shots at head coaching. Hold up. RC, you saying Washington's D was a joke? If they had a more stable and consistent offense, they would have. Oh, yeah. Their offense was dog shit. Their defense literally carried them through the season. It was actually quite impressive. Not gonna lie. But once again, guys, really do appreciate you guys for being on here with me. I try to get a live stream in, most every day if I can. I try to get one in. This on the weekends I will have my online gaming streams, so you can look forward to. Tomorrow we'll probably be doing NCAA 14. And I usually have one of my members, if they're at, if you're a member on the channel, part of the O-line, I will generally try to get somebody on the stream with me to play one of the games that I get on. So, I will be reaching out to a few of my members here on the channel. If you are the higher ranking member you are, the better a chance you have of being able to play an online game with me on Friday. So think about that if you're thinking about joining the channel and joining as a member. So with all that being said, guys, really do appreciate you guys very much. Look, we'll see what happens. Not holding my breath, but I'm still repping the teal and black, as you can see. We'll see how it all plays out. But appreciate you guys so much for being on here. I will catch you all on the next one. Everybody be safe. Have a good night. And I'll talk to you guys later.